Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new video on the channel. In this video, we're not going to have any gameplay, but instead we're going to set the scene for a challenge in one of my Facebook groups. The Tac Up Wargaming Facebook community has a challenge to play 10 war games over the course of the year. Most of my list is going to consist of my introduction to wargaming, including one game that's being released in 2023. You guys will get to see my introduction to wargaming in mostly real time. I generally don't make a habit of going through first playthroughs on the channel, just because I need to figure out how a game is going to play, so I can figure out how best I want to shoot it and what day I want to put it on. I also want to learn the game as much as I can, but inevitably I'll need to check the rules, so advance apologies if these videos still end up being a little rough. I do plan to fit these games in with my other content on the channel, but I need to figure out how, and I suspect we'll sit down and have another chat on that once the winter campaign is over, and I've had a chance to play some of these games off-channel. This list isn't also going to be in any kind of order in terms of when I'm going to feature them on the channel. I do have some initial thoughts I'm going to mention in this video, but again, a deeper conversation on that to come once the winter campaign for Arkham Horror the card game is over. Anyway, let's jump into the list, and the first two games are very similar to one another. The first two games on my list are both book games from Worthington Games, and are also going to be very easy to include on weeknight videos. The two games here are Bismarck Solitaire and On to Moscow. In Bismarck Solitaire, like the name suggests, we take control of Battleship Bismarck, along with a Prinz Eugen and a U-boat for support, going on sorties after the historical ships in the Bismarck story, namely HMS Hood, the Prince of Wales, the Rodney, and all the others. And on to Moscow, we take control of the Axis forces advancing into the Soviet Union during World War II, with a goal of obtaining victory points depending on how far we advance, and other objectives we might have along the way. So far, I expect I can easily fit these into a weeknight schedule. These are very small games, and my initial guess is they'll be very flowy in recording and short in length. Perfect for a pair of weeknight videos. Next up, let's talk about the one game that I'm hesitant to get on the channel, but I think I can still make it work. Making a journey like this into a new arena is always a nerve-wracking experience, so being able to take an old friend along is always welcome. Of course, the old friend here is Fantasy Flight Studios, who's become as close to a fixture on the channel as I have, thanks to the Arkham Horror files. However, for this list, I can't take along anything from the Arkham Horror files. Yet. There is a game, though, that I can explore for purposes of this list. That game is Star Wars Imperial Assault. This game is set after Episode 4 and the destruction of the first Death Star, where we're rebel characters dealing with the Empire attacking Yavin 4 and other locations throughout the Star Wars galaxy. I've enjoyed my learning playthroughs of this game, but there's one major problem that's making me very hesitant to get it on the channel. That would be the app. But I've been playing around with I've yet to feature an app-based game on the channel, and this one's probably going to be hard to do, given the activations go player, then app, then back to player, and so on until the mission is over. With no real transition points, I suspect this will end up as a flow rather than a lot of camera cuts. I was thinking about featuring another app-based game on the channel just to get the feel for it, but I may just jump in with Baptism by Fire on this one. Still, I think I can get this one on the channel, but Anyway, that's it for Star Wars Imperial Assault. We're going to stay with the ground forces, though, as we move into this next game. Game number 4 on the list features a new face on the channel, but it's not the new face that's going to dominate my intro to wargaming. You may recall from my last product unboxing of 2022 that this game was a total nightmare to unbox, but I finally did manage to get it unboxed. We'll travel back in time for this one to 1940s Europe as we introduce Field Commander Rommel to the channel. In this game, we take on the role of Erwin Rommel in some of his most famous campaigns, D-Day, Ghost Division, and his most famous failure at El Alamein. I'm going to practice this one a few more times, but I expect this will probably end up as a weeknight video, as probably a flow. Anyway, that will do it for this game. Let's introduce the face that's going to dominate my intro to wargaming. One of my favorite wartime stories from World War II is the story of the Bismarck. I've already featured one Bismarck game on this list, so I'm going to try not to make this one another one. We're going to play Atlantic Chase from GMT Games. GMT Games is the company that's going to dominate my intro to wargaming. Out of the 10 games that are going to end up on this list, 4 of them are GMT games. In this game, we're telling some of the various stories from the Atlantic Theater from between 1939 and 1942. The Bismarck is featured in this game, but I'm going to try not to make that the scenario I get into when this one hits the channel. My expectation at first glance seems like this is going to be yet another flow, since I have yet to find any natural transition points that would be conducive to a lot of camera cuts. This could also make a good weeknight game, but I need to get this one to the table a few more times to get a better feel for the length. But that's amusing for another day, along with trying to clear the tutorial scenarios. Next, we're going to make our way east for these next couple of games. We're moving both back further in time and slightly further east. And we're also zooming out in scope to the whole geopolitical, kind of the 10,000 foot view essentially, as we play Hitler's Reich, once again from GMT Games. We'll borrow from the back of the box here that this looks like it's from the Card Conquest system of games that I will have to play off the channel a few times just to get a feel for how everything works, but that's Hitler's Reich. So now we're going to move back in, we're actually going to move east one more time with this next game. We're moving further east with this game to the site of one of Hitler's greatest blunders during World War II, the Soviet Union. Absolute War, the Russian Front, 1941 to 1945 will be on my list. And like the name suggests, it focuses on the war between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. I expect it'll probably be the first scenario that I get on the channel, but I'll have to see how I feel about that once I get this one to the table a few times. But anyway, up to space we go for this next game. Space, as you may be noticing on the channel, is a popular destination for us, and I wouldn't leave space games off this list. The last of the GMT games on this list is going to be Space Empire's 4X. We're looking to build up a space empire and use it to crush the other players. The 4X's are Expand, Exterminate, Exploit, Expand, Exterminate, Exploit, and what's the 4th X? Explore. Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate. So those are the 4 X's for space. And of course we'll be after an Automa opponent, but Automas are quite a popular opponent on this channel since this channel focuses predominantly on solo play. Anyway, this list also needs a game that was released in 2020, that will be released in 2023. So we're going to move back to World War II, but we're going to make a couple changes. The 2023 release for this list is going to be Air Raid Pearl Harbor from Legion Wargames. Just like it sounds, this game will focus on the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor as we look to play as the Japanese. Given that this one is expected to come out in 2023, there isn't currently much information about this one. With that, we've got one game left, so let's move into that game now. Our 10th and final game is coming out of the box ID Jester sent and that I unboxed on Monday. We're going to play Metal Dawn from Everything Epic Games. In this one, we're playing against a military defense system that wants to exterminate humanity, and we have to stop it. This game has been described as G.I. Joe vs. Skynet without either IP, and that sounds about right based on my preliminary research. But anyway, we'll talk more about this game when I get it to the channel. Anyway, let's move back up top to wrap this video up. There was only one game. This should be quite the intro to wargaming for me. There was only one game where I felt like I was stretching the definition of wargaming, that being Star Wars Imperial Assault. But I don't think that's all that big of a stretch in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, that's just my opinion. As for playing these games, like I said, My initial plan is to get all of them on the channel this year, but we'll revisit that question more fully once the winter campaign wraps in a couple of weeks. Speaking of the winter campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game, it will be taking center stage for the rest of the weekend. It's Wednesday night as I'm filming this. I expect this video to go up Thursday, but more on that to be seen as the rest of the night unfolds. So Friday will feature the next round of upgrades, and then Sunday we'll see the winter campaign continue as we find ourselves in the City of the Elder Things. As for Wednesday, we'll be back to defending Gravehold from the Nameless as we play Aeon's End. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.